A Chevy just beat the Tesla Model Y. I know how that sounds. I did not believe it either until I saw the numbers. But before you click away, you need to hear the rest of this, because the vehicle every car reviewer keeps calling the best EV alternative to Tesla has a $1,500 part that has failed on the highway over 600 documented times, and 2 federal recalls have not fixed it. I am putting the Model Y, the Equinox EV, and the Ioniq 5 head-to-head today. I am going to tell you which one wins on paper, which one wins in your driveway, and why those turned out to be 2 completely different answers. My final verdict is not the one I expected to give, and it is going to make a lot of you uncomfortable. Today I am comparing actually brakes, what it costs, and the ownership math the dealer never brings up. I walked into this expecting to dismiss the third brand. I was wrong about that. Stick around. We are starting with the Model Y because this is the vehicle a lot of you already own or are actively shopping, and the Juniper refresh changed more under the skin than the marketing suggests. If you have been following Tesla for the last few years, you probably heard about the Giga casting, one massive aluminum piece replacing dozens of smaller parts. The future of how cars get built. That was the pitch. But when the Juniper actually showed up, Tesla had quietly pulled that casting from the entire front end. The rear is still there, about 130 pounds of aluminum in one piece, but up front they went back to the way everybody else does it. Same story with the battery. The 4680 cells and the structural pack that was supposed to make everything lighter and cheaper, gone. The cells were not coming out right, and those production lines shut down in early 2024. So what is in the Model Y you can buy today? A non-structural pack using Panasonic 2170 cells built in Nevada. Not the fancy new chemistry from the investor presentations, just the proven cells. And I will give Tesla credit here because those cells paired with what Tesla calls the Octovalve thermal management system make this one of the most effective battery cooling setups out there. A study tracking 30,000 vehicles found the Model Y holds roughly 85% of its range in freezing temperatures. That is the best cold weather number in the entire EV market right now, and nobody else is close. But that efficiency comes with a cost that showed up in my shop in a way I was not expecting. The drivetrain has a neat trick too. The front motor shuts itself off at highway speed to save energy, which is part of why the Edmunds range test came back at 327 miles, matching the EPA number almost exactly. A lot of electric vehicles lose 15 to 20% between the lab and real life. Tesla closes that gap better than anybody. But I need to hit you with the other side of this because I had a customer come into the shop last year with a Model Y that got rear-ended at about 25 miles per hour in a parking lot. Not a big hit. On a Camry that is a new bumper cover, some paint, maybe a weekend in the body shop. On the Model Y, that rear Giga casting cracked. Aluminum castings do not dent like steel panels. They crack. And when they crack, you cannot weld them. You replace the entire casting. My customer waited over 90 days for the part. The repair bill exceeded $15,000. Insurance nearly totaled a vehicle over what should have been a fender bender. That repair cost problem feeds directly into insurance. The average full coverage premium on a Model Y runs close to $400 a month, roughly 3 times the national average. And depreciation is ugly. In just the 12 months between early 2024 and early 2025, used Model Y prices dropped by over $4,600 while gasoline vehicles went up. If you plan to sell in 3 years, the car is losing value faster than you are paying it off. Tesla did improve reliability. They jumped to number 10 in the Consumer Reports brand rankings for 2026, and the Juniper passed a set of federal safety tests that no other vehicle has cleared. But phantom braking is still in the car. Edmunds has a long-term Juniper right now, and they are still logging random braking events on straight open roads. I covered more of the autopilot situation in a video a few months back, and everything I said then still applies. So the Model Y has real strengths and real ownership headaches. But keep all of that in your head, because what I am about to show you on the next vehicle is going to make the Model Y's problems look manageable. The 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 is the only mainstream electric crossover running an 800-volt system, and I need to explain what that means, because it is both the best and the worst thing about this vehicle. Think of voltage like water pressure in a hose. Higher voltage pushes the same energy through a smaller pipe, faster. At 800 volts, the Ioniq 5 accepts over 250 kilowatts from a fast charger, and it holds that speed from about 10% all the way to 55% of the battery. 10 to 80% in roughly 18 minutes on the right hardware. The Model Y takes closer to 30 minutes on a supercharger to do the same thing. And here is the part almost no reviewer bothers to explain. When you plug the Ioniq 5 into a regular 400-volt charging station, which includes Tesla superchargers, the car uses the coils inside its own rear drive motor to boost the voltage. It doubles the incoming power on the fly using the motor itself. The motor becomes the charger. That is brilliant engineering, and I do not say that about many things. The 2025 refresh bumped the battery to 84 kilowatt hours and moved production to a new factory in Georgia. That Georgia move is what brought back the federal tax credit before it expired last September. Edmunds tested the dual motor limited at 282 miles of range. Now here is where I get angry, because what I found in the Hyundai Ioniq 5's federal complaint history made my blood boil. I had a customer last fall with a 2023 Ioniq 5 Limited, about 40,000 miles. She hears a loud pop from the back while merging onto the highway. Every light on the dashboard fires, and the car starts a countdown, telling her she has about 45 minutes before it shuts down. She limped to a gas station and called for a tow. The problem was the ICCU, the Integrated Charging Control Unit. It is a single box handling 4 critical jobs: 12-volt battery charging, onboard alternating current charging, fast charging, and the vehicle-to-load outlet. 1 part, 4 functions. When a tiny electronic switch inside it fails, the whole car goes down. This is not some freak one-off. Federal investigators logged over 600 cases of these cars losing power on the highway, and that is just the 2022 model year. Hyundai recalled about 99,000 vehicles in March 2024 to fix it. That fix did not hold. They logged 57 more failures on vehicles that had already been through the recall, so they issued a second recall in November 2024, covering roughly 208,000 vehicles across Hyundai and Kia. 2 recalls for the same part because the first one did not work. There is now a class action lawsuit in New Jersey claiming Hyundai knew about this defect since 2022. Owners on forums are waiting 5 months for replacement parts, and the 2025 models from the brand new Georgia factory already have 8 recalls of their own, including a high voltage connection that federal regulators are calling a fire risk. Consumer Reports rated both the 2024 and the 2025 Ioniq 5 below average for reliability, yet Edmunds still handed it their top-rated electric SUV award for 2026. I like this car's engineering, but giving out trophies to a vehicle with over 200,000 units under a double recall for a part that strands people on highways, that drives me up the wall. If GM had this failure rate on a single component, the automotive press would be writing obituaries. Hyundai keeps skating by, and I think that needs to stop. But the warranty does help. Hyundai covers the powertrain for 10 years and 100,000 miles for the original owner, and that covers the ICCU. Out of warranty, That part runs $1,000 to $3,000 at a dealer, so if you buy one, buy it new. Do not flip it before the warranty runs out. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. The next video I am building goes even deeper than this one. Okay, so the Model Y wins on charging and cold weather, but bleeds money on depreciation and insurance. The Ioniq 5 charges faster than anything in this class and has the strongest warranty, but a reliability mess that 2 recalls have not fixed. If you told me 6 months ago that the third vehicle in this comparison, a Chevrolet, would be the one that impressed me, I would have laughed. I am not laughing anymore. The Chevy Equinox EV is the vehicle nobody in the EV conversation is taking seriously, and I think that is a mistake. In Edmunds' range test, the 2025 Equinox EV ran 356 miles on a full charge. The EPA rating is 319. It beat the sticker by 37 miles, and it beat both the Model Y and the Ioniq 5. That is the farthest any electric crossover has gone for this kind of money. The engineering is different from everything else here. The Equinox EV runs on GM's Ultium platform with an 85 kilowatt-hour battery using large format pouch cells. What sets it apart is the battery management system. Instead of running physical wires from every cell group to a central controller, each group has a tiny wireless radio sending its readings back several times per second. GM cut roughly 80 to 90% of the wiring inside the pack. Fewer wires, fewer things to corrode or fail over 150,000 miles. But what GM gave up to get there is something that matters a lot more on road trips than it does in your driveway. The trade-off is speed. The pack runs at about 288 volts, well under the Ioniq 5's 800 volts. Fast charging peaks at 150 kilowatts. On a road trip, you are sitting at a charger for 40 to 45 minutes versus 18 minutes for the Ioniq 5. If you road trip every weekend, that adds up fast. And here is an irony I still cannot get over. The Equinox EV charges fastest when it is plugged into a Tesla supercharger with an adapter. The Tesla cabinet delivers the higher amperage that the Equinox's low voltage pack needs to hit peak speed. So the vehicle General Motors built to compete with Tesla literally works best when it is plugged into Tesla's own network. Engineering is funny sometimes. I do need to flag the problems. I had a customer with a 2024 Equinox EV, about 9,500 miles, and the battery gauge dropped from 46% to dead zero in a heartbeat. There was no warning and no gradual decline. The car stopped in traffic and he needed a flatbed. Turned out it was a corroded 12-volt cable pin that confused the wireless battery system into thinking the main pack was gone. The pack was fine. A connector that cost practically nothing nearly bricked a $35,000 vehicle. General Motors' software track record is also not great. The Blazer EV, which shares this platform, got pulled from sale in late 2023 after racking up 23 fault codes in under 2 months. General Motors cleaned up the code before the Equinox launched, but that history follows it. They also killed Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on every new electric vehicle they sell, and surveys show close to half of buyers call that a deal breaker. Instead, you get Google built-in navigation that turns into a paid subscription after 3 months. The base Equinox EV starts around $36,500. A loaded RS tops out just under $49,000. Consumer Reports gives it an average reliability rating, which makes it the only Ultium vehicle in the entire General Motors lineup that earned a recommended badge. That is not glamorous, but it is more than the Blazer EV, the Cadillac Lyriq, or the Honda Prologue can say. So which one would I actually spend my own money on? The answer surprised me, and it might surprise you too. Here is where I land on the Model Y, the Equinox EV, and the Ioniq 5. If charging network and cold weather matter most, if you live somewhere with real winters and you want the vehicle with the best range accuracy and the largest fast charging network in the country, the Model Y is still the answer. The supercharger network alone is worth the price gap for a lot of drivers, and how it handles cold weather is unmatched. Go in with your eyes open on the insurance and the depreciation, because that math is real. If you want the fastest charging system in this price range and the longest powertrain warranty, and you are willing to accept the risk on a component that Hyundai is still trying to fix, the Ioniq 5 is the most advanced vehicle in this group by a real margin. Buy it new, keep it under that 10-year warranty, and pay attention to whether Hyundai actually resolves the ICCU situation, because right now they have not. And if value is the priority, if you want the vehicle that goes farthest on a charge for the least money, the safest bet for long-term reliability in this lineup, and you can live without CarPlay, the Equinox EV is the one I would put my own money on today. I did not plan to say that when I started this. A Chevy over a Tesla and a Hyundai. But 356 miles of tested range at $36,000 with no catastrophic failure mode hanging over it is hard to argue with. My take that is going to get me yelled at in the comments. The Ioniq 5 is the most overhyped EV on sale right now. You do not get to hand out Car of the Year trophies to a vehicle with over 200,000 units under a double recall for a part that has stranded owners on highways over 600 documented times. The press needs to hold Hyundai to the same standard they hold everybody else. Drop a comment and tell me which of these three you own or which one you are shopping for. If you have crossed 50,000 miles on any of them, I especially want to hear from you. And if you are even thinking about pulling the trigger on a Tesla after watching this, go watch my video on the problems with the Tesla Model 3 you need to know before buying. I cover issues in that video that apply directly to the Model Y. There is at least one thing in there that could save you thousands of dollars down the road. The link is on screen. I will see you over there.